Should we start? Honorable Ambassador, His Excellency Espen Rikter-Svendsen, distinguished guests, my fellow colleagues, and my students. Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning on behalf of the coordinator of CPS. Before we begin the second ambassadorial talk in our series, let me briefly share some information about CPS and the purpose of this talk. The Center for Studies was established in 2019 and is located under South Asian Institute of Policy and Governance here at Norwegian University. The CPS is an interdisciplinary center that facilitates the academic study of peace building and promotes a resilient society through evidence-based and empirical research. The CPS aims to become a hub of academic research and activity in the areas of conflict studies and peace promotion, with national, regional, and global implications. Since its inception, CPS has conducted research and organized seminars and workshops regularly on various issues, including the Rohingya community, Chittagong hill tax, women and children, geopolitics, peace and pandemics, climate justice, human rights, with a focus on regional and global context. We know that SIPG and CPS have been actively collaborating with the University of Bergen and the Arctic University of Norway, Tromsø. Last month, a team from Center for Peace Studies of the Arctic University of Norway visited us, and we had a very good meeting with them. We are on the process of joint research and further collaboration with them. We had Mohammad Mushfiq Salehu, Associate Professor, CPS, Arctic University of Tromsø, Norway, and Senior Researcher at Peace Research Institute, Oslo, we call them PIO, gave a research talk here in CPS. We also have another professor, Professor Dr. 𝑨𝒏𝒂𝒔𝒔𝒂𝒅𝒐, right here, sitting in front of us, Department of Administration and Organization Theory, University of Bergen, Norway, joining us as well, and also joining our package members and researchers and students online. And actually, we are very much close to the academic institution and center in Norway. And we have this relationship, and we continue to flourish to organizing more programs and activities. And His Excellency Ambassador is here, will also give some, will shed some light on that as well. One of the purposes of this program is that CPS believes in democracy, human rights, and peace building. And we want to contribute in creating a peaceful society through peace talks. Therefore, we started the Ambassador Talk series in 2020. Dr. Catherine, I know she will talk about this when she will moderate this session. But for now, we believe through this discussion, we hope to fulfill CPS vision of becoming a recognized platform in South Asia and beyond, where academics, scholars, researchers, and practitioners come together to create sustainable and inclusive approaches to peace building using evidence-based knowledge and skill development. We are delighted to have you all here today for the second ambassadorial talk. We had His Excellency Mr. Rinchen Kudsel, Ambassador of the Kingdom of Bhutan to Bangladesh in our first talk. Today, in the second talk, we are honored to welcome His Excellency Espen Rikter-Svendsen, who will share his valuable insight with us. This session, as I told you before, will be moderated by Dr. Kashin, a member of CPS and director of the Office of External Affairs. Before I hand over the session to Dr. Kathleen, we invite all of you to watch a very brief video clipping about SIPG and CPS.
Of Policy and Governance, SIPG of North-South University is a pioneering institute with a regional focus on policy, governance, and public administration in Bangladesh. The vision of SIPG is to become a leading academic institution and think tank in the area of policy, governance, climate change, migration, refugee crisis, and geopolitics. SIPG has 3 wings: graduate programs, research and publication, certificate courses and training. Graduate programs: Master in Public Policy and Governance, Executive Masters in Policy and Governance. MPPG is an international master's degree program designed for the civil servants of Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, and other South Asian countries. This is a thesis-based master's with an opportunity to complete a semester abroad in an Asian or European university, such as University of Bergen, National Institute of Development, Administration, Thailand, and so on. So far, 10 batches of MPPG students have graduated, of which more than 50% are female.
MPPG program is a diverse program where the combination of students and participants who come from the civil service, from the private sector, academicians, and also from NGOs make it more interesting.
With the faculties, the practitioners, and special academics from other countries who taught us very well how to formulate policy, what is the force behind it, and what should it deliver. And that is amazing. Since Bangladesh is moving forward to a developed nation by 2041, the country requires definitely some robust policies to achieve it. I think SIPG is working as a great catalyst in this context.
The EMPG program started from fall 2021 with an aim to offer high quality and international standard education on governance and policy analysis for the young professionals of Bangladesh.
The reason for my choosing the EMPG program was, of course, the faculty members are just fantastic. The kind of faculty members experience that they actually bring in is actually really comfortable.
This course will definitely bring me more exposure to that sector, and it's a combination of the business studies and of course development sector.
Center for Peace Studies. The Center for Peace Studies is an interdisciplinary research center established under SIPG in 2020. The objective of this center is to facilitate academic study of peace building and promotion of a resilient society through evidence-based empirical research at NSU.
The Center for Migration Studies is another center of SIPG, which was inaugurated on November 13, 2022. The main goal to conduct research on migration-related issues such as climate change, refugees, displacement, and development policy. It also serves as a hub for students, academics, and researchers from national and international universities, institutions, and organizations who are interested in studying migration in various subjects.
Publications of SIPG. The Institute has been publishing a number of books, policy briefs, working papers, and case studies. The faculty members of SIPG and CPS are also regularly publishing in Q1 journals. As part of policy advocacy, the SIPG has been publishing policy briefs on a regular basis. This institution has 2 peer-reviewed scientific journals, South Asian Journal of Policy and Governance, and North-South Journal of Peace and Global Studies. SIPG Policy Lab. The SIPG Policy Lab is a social science laboratory which focuses on conducting breakthrough research on policy matters, international conferences, national seminars, and webinars. The conferences and seminars are organized on various critical issues such as gender mainstreaming, governance, public policy, Rohingya crisis, e-governance, public leaders in post-pandemic worlds, geopolitics, climate change, and diplomacy, certificate courses and training programs. In addition to the offering of 2 full-length graduate programs, the Institute also offers 3 to 4 days long training programs and 2 to 3 months long certificate courses. SIPG will strive for becoming the leading think tank and academic institution on policy and governance studies in South Asia.
Thank you for your patience. So now, without further ado, I'd like to request Dr. Catherine to take over the session. Welcome, Dr. Catherine.
Thanks to our CPS coordinator, Dr. 𝒂💔💂💂💂, who's an assistant professor in the Department of Political Science and Sociology. He does a fine job for us as the coordinator of CPS. And now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our esteemed guest, the Ambassador of Norway to Bangladesh. Espen Rikter-Svendsen is a Norwegian career diplomat who entered the Foreign Service in 1990. He arrived in Dhaka to take up his post as Norway's ambassador to Bangladesh on the 1st of September 2020. Espen has spent more than half of his career on postings mainly in Europe, Brussels, Paris, Rome, and Asia, New Delhi, Hanoi, Guangzhou specifically. Before coming to Dhaka, his last foreign posting was that of Consul General in Guangzhou, China, where he served from 2012 to 2017. Moreover, he has done shorter stints at Norway's embassies in Tehran and Seoul, as well as serving for 2 years as special envoy to Haiti following the 2010 earthquake. During his periods in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, he has worked extensively on Asian issues, China, South Asia, besides doing information and communication work. An interesting year was spent in the protocol department preparing a state visit to China. From 2018 to 2020, he was Norway's ASEM senior official. Espen holds a professional law degree, cand.jur, from the University of Oslo, as well as an LLM from the University of London, Queen Mary College. Before joining the Foreign Service, he worked for 5 years as a legal consultant in a Norwegian tech company. Very well-rounded ambassador, I must say. In addition to his mother tongue, Espen can make himself understood in English, French, Italian, and German, besides possessing basic skills in Vietnamese and Mandarin Chinese. Ni hao. He has a genuine interest to learn some Bengali whilst in Bangladesh. He has a son, 23, and a daughter, 20, both of whom are studying abroad, Canada and the UK. Espen is no longer married. He is, however, a keen amateur photographer, has a Nikon camera, and enjoys singing and playing the piano when no one is around. Well, that's not fair. You want to hear that? We're extremely pleased to have you with us as part of this Ambassador Talk series that we initiated with the purpose of understanding career diplomats such as yourself as they are stationed in countries, particularly in Bangladesh. What part of your portfolio is looking at peace building in the countries that you serve on behalf of your government? So the first guest that we had was the ambassador from Bhutan, who was the first friend of Bangladesh and talked about gross national happiness as a development philosophy. And we came to know how much they were involved in the background in creating the bridge between the MDGs and the SDGs to put some heart and soul into this new set of initiatives that we're all very eagerly following. And so now we're very eager to hear from you, hear about peace from the Norwegian perspective, because with the Nobel Peace Prize, certainly have a corner on the market. So I guess we can go ahead and take a look at the PowerPoint presentation at this point. We'll be streaming live on Facebook. And so it's nice to know that you can always go back and see this presentation afterwards. And so now I'll stop talking and let you with your presentation. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you very much, and what a joy it is to be here. So glad to see that the room is filling up. It's always good to have someone to talk to and somebody who can disagree. So let's have a fruitful session and to also to discuss a few issues here. I'm not here to tell you what is right and what is wrong. I'm just here to explain a little bit about how we have been working with this issue from Norway's side for the past 30 years. Thanks for reminding me about the Nobel Peace Prize. I have not mentioned that anywhere, but it is of course something that Norway is famous for. And it's not a government tool, but it is something which gives Norway some recognition worldwide. So, but happy note. Also, you mentioned while reading this rather strange document that I'm a keen photographer, and this is true. And I'm Norwegian. So in my presentations, I put some of my photos from Norway. And since this is North-South University, I have some people from the north of Norway and some from the south. This one is from the north. And also you are working with Bergen and with the Arctic University, so that's also a north-south thing. Then of course there is Norway and Bangladesh there, and other north-south dimensions. So the name of this university is very appropriate. Okay, let's get to work. Before doing that though, I just mentioned that we have compiled a little bit of a pile of reference material, and you have access to that file. So you can have a look at that after today's session, but it contains more on the issues that I will mention. So let's see, the technology here works. We are firm believers in technology. Let's see. I will try to press some button here. Oh, there it is. Okay, this is another. Is it possible to get rid of that black bar at the top? That's useful. Because then we can see that it's Norway. Okay, again, a photo from Norway. I took this a few months back, actually 2 months back. So it's showing some of the beauty of northern Norway, some of the nature there. But also, the headline here, peace, is that Norway's most important export article? That's the kind of semi-provocative title that I have given. So, let's start with some examples. Okay, this is a recent example. Venezuela and Colombia and Norway has been involved in a peace process there, which has shown good results recently. I don't know if you are able to, on the photo, to spot who is a Norwegian. Because it's not so easy. Actually, it's a person on the second from the right. He's Norwegian peace negotiator who has recently been very successful in working in Colombia, bringing the party and the government together. So that is one example, and here's another thing. This is in the paper I've given you. Mona Juul is our permanent representative in New York, but she is more famous for being a part of the Oslo Accord in 1993 between Israel and Palestine to agree on a two-state solution. It's quite interesting because, you know, she's 1 year older than me in the ministry, and she was sitting just across the hall from me when I studied. But then her career sort of took off because she's married to a very special guy from Bergen. Bergen keeps coming up. Very get used to it. Her first posting was in Tel Aviv, and then her husband, a very active guy, got in touch with all kinds of groups, and after a little while, they found themselves discussing the prospect of finding a solution for the Palestine problem. So ended up in 1993 with the Oslo Accord signed, and it was signed on the lawn of the White House in Washington. So it was quite sensational, I would say, at the time. Unfortunately, later it has not really lived up to expectations, but at that time it was a good example of how, by bringing people together and talking in confidentiality, you can actually have a go at some rather complex conflicts. Mona Juul is not from Bergen, and she is not from the north, but she's from middle between in the city of Steinkjer, and there she's a very famous lady now. So famous actually that there is a pizza named after her in the local pizzeria. Can't ask for more than that. So if you ever end up in Steinkjer, you play pizza. Okay, why is Norway doing this? Yeah, some examples here. Then I get to press the button several times. This is Oslo, by the way, the capital and the city hall, where the Nobel Peace Prize is awarded on 10th of December every year. The Oslo Accords I already mentioned. It's actually 30 years ago this year, and that was sort of laid the foundation for Norway's involvement in this kind of work. After the Oslo Accords, we were approached by many who were struggling with their conflicts and were asked to do the magic that we had done in the Oslo Accords in other conflicts as well. So we've been active in Afghanistan, the Philippines, still there actually, not easy. Nepal, not far away, almost walking distance from here. Myanmar, also close. We've been working for a long time there, and for a while, it's very promising. Colombia, I mentioned, that's maybe our most recent success story. Sri Lanka is also quite well known, also another complicated situation, which did not actually end the way we would have liked, but anyway, we were there for a while, and I believe we had a good effect in many ways. Venezuela also. So these are some of the examples. Again, a photo. Now we're back in the north. 3 questions to discuss, and I hope we can have a discussion soon. 1, why Norway? Little country, far away from everything. Very few people there. Nice nature, but I don't think that is not enough. Maybe. Second question: when can we do this? When do we do this peace work, peace and reconciliation? What are the conditions? And the last one, how do we do it? What's the magic? That's something we can look into. Okay, let's start with why. This is also in the north, as you probably can see. There are some reasons, I think, which are particularly relevant why Norway has achieved this kind of role in international peace and mediation. One is the proven track record. Starting in 1993 with the Oslo Accords, and then gradually our client base has increased, and we have been invited to take part in a lot of processes around the world, globally actually, and I myself, in several of my postings, have been approached by groups to say that we have a problem. Can Norway help? So we kind of have this brand name, it seems, which makes people come to us. And of course, as the number of cases grows, we gain more experience. I think that is extremely useful in this, because although all conflicts are different, and the persons and everything, there is still some lessons that are general here, some approaches, some principles, and I'll get to those. We're a small, successful, peaceful country. I think that helps. First of all, small, we're not a threat to anybody. Nobody is afraid to be attacked by Norway. I think not even Sweden or Denmark. So that helps. Nobody is afraid of us. Quite a peaceful country as well. Also helps. We have a history, a long history now of solidarity with developing countries, and we've been doing development work since we started in India in the 1950s. So very shortly after the Second World War, we started doing that, and that is also quite well known. Here's an important thing: non-colonial past. I mean, we have how do you say that? A clean record. So there is no sort of suspicion of alternative or other agendas, hidden agendas. We're quite strong on values and principles. And here, as a small country, I think we are very strongly in favor of multilateral rules-based world order, and that is something which we carry with us and which is part of our brand name. Values and principles, human rights, for example, gender. There are so many things. Affluence. It's not a disadvantage, because the way we have started to work with these initiatives, it's quite costly. You need to have flexible budgets if you are going to facilitate processes around the globe. I remember myself, I was posted in Rome, which is a big city in Italy. Suddenly I was informed that there was going to be a mediation meeting between the parties in Sri Lanka. They were flying into Rome to have some peace and quiet and to work there. And we were asked, embassy was asked to book hotels for them. So we did. We picked our normal hotel that we always use for our incoming guests from Norway. And then a couple of days later, we were informed that the visiting delegation from Sri Lanka was not happy with the hotel. This was a 4-star hotel. They were not interested in a 4-star hotel. So we had to change for another one, which was considerably more expensive. And this kind of thing, I just mentioned it as an example because you have to be prepared to actually go outside your economic comfort zone to facilitate and to make the conditions so that you don't get disturbed by this kind of unhappiness on the part of the parties. When can we do this? This is quite interesting actually, because as I said, we receive requests all the time from various groups, many parts of the world, who want to see, who want to have our services, our facilitation, our mediation in their conflict. And we have some criteria for when we can do it and when we cannot. Still, we have to be selective. I mean, we cannot. Yeah, we need to consider case by case. By the way, this is the Aurora. And those of you who have been in the Arctic University have seen it. Many of you in this room probably have not seen it, but as you can see, it's worth seeing. This is again from the northern part. Okay, let's move on. 9 criteria is what we sort of base ourselves upon. Backing out slow here, but first of all, requested by both parties. This is indispensable. This is absolutely crucial. We cannot impose any services or any assistance on a party that doesn't want us. And that in itself limits very strongly the number of conflicts where we can actually go in and provide services, because you need both parties to want us to be there. So we heard from many places actually that Norway should come. One party says Norway should come and teach the other party what is the right solution here. And of course we have to say, no, you must come with the other party and say, we're in deep shit, we need your services. Pardon my French. So that is definitely a very important criteria. We need to take a long-term view. It's not going to happen from today to tomorrow. In Colombia, which is a fairly recent example, as I mentioned, it took 30 years almost, at least more than 20. And it's not a linear positive development. It goes up and down. We need to be able to talk to all parties. It can be 2 parties, but often also it's more than 2. And you cannot exclude anyone from the list of people you talk to. Our foreign minister used to say, actually is now prime minister. He used to say that the people you disagree with are the people you need to talk to. No need to waste time talking to people whom you agree with. So that is why we need to take political risks. I mean, this is essential. Some gambles are involved. What can you sell? I mean, you have 2 parties far apart, and you need to come up with something that is probably going to be extremely painful to both, but I mean, not more painful than it's actually possible to sell, but you need to gamble on this. I'm currently watching a series called Diplomat on Netflix, I recommend it to all of you. It's fascinating viewing, and it's just about that. I mean, now, last night I was watching the Prime Minister, aggressively discussing what to do with Russia. Can we bomb something? I mean, this kind of thing. So a very interesting series, also from this piece perspective. Resources available, I mentioned, 5-star hotels can be possible, necessary sometimes. You need to fly people from all strange places to even stranger places. Flying around in the jungle of Colombia in helicopters. That was a big part of the process there. So you need to have this. And we have actually decided that this kind of peace involvement is important enough for us to actually have fairly generous budgets for it. And instead of, we need to have sufficient budget for each case, so better to have fewer cases than to have tighter budgets. So this is, and you need human resources as well, of course. Okay, let's see. One, expertise, yeah. This is something you need people who can understand, who can analyze, who can spot the opportunities, who can see the perspectives of the parties. And I think it's safe to say that we have developed this kind of expertise in our system. As of course, there are many countries, many actors globally who do this, but we have managed over the 3 decades that we've been doing this to develop quite a good group of experts, and of course we rely on external resources as well. Networks and close cooperation with partners. This is extremely important. You need to play on all the instruments you have and to connect with all the relevant parties at all times. Impartial facilitation. You have to remember to stay impartial and to just help the parties, not to be a party. So, inclusive peace process, bring in all the relevant actors, because otherwise it will backfire. You can arrive at a deal, but if some essential group is not part of it, it's going to backfire. Okay. How to do this work? As you know from Catherine's reading, I have not been actively involved in this kind of work myself, so I don't have first-time experience. But we have some ideas here. This is a question I often ask: how do people solve big problems, big complex problems? This is a very obvious general, but it's any suggestion? How do we solve big problems?
Well, you define the problem.
Small pieces.
Exactly. You break it up into smaller, manageable pieces. So how humans have done it since day one, and that's what we do too. And you organize the subject, you divide it into topics. You establish working groups and structures. I will show you a picture a little bit later about one of those sketches that was used early in the Colombia talks. Then you must not be too destroyed by setbacks. I mean, you need to prepare yourself for setbacks. Setbacks will happen. in most processes, because it's very often, it's something which has been going on for decades, or even in some places centuries. It's not going to be solved from one day to the other, from 1 month to the other, from 1 year to the other, from 1 decade to the next. Even the process going on in itself has an effect, but it goes back and forth. There are many, many examples on this. Bring all parties in. I think I mentioned that already, but it is extremely important so that you actually hopefully arrive at a deal which is has the necessary general support. Keep channels open. Even if during setbacks, when the parties go to each their side or they start fighting again, make sure that the channels are open. Always be ready. Always be prepared for talks. It's never too early to prepare for talks, although it can be too early to talk. This is one of the things that our permanent representative says in a little piece she wrote recently in The Economist, and which is in this list here. You can see. She was arguing that about Ukraine, actually, that it's too early to talk, but it's not too early to prepare for talks. Listen, this is an extremely difficult thing for humans because we have so much to convey. We have our opinions, we have our knowledge, insight, see the solutions, we have all of that. And we are very keen to bring out our perspective. But in this peace process work, listening is an essential part of it. Trying to really, really take in and understand positions and the background and the history of parties. There is a reason people say that. There's a reason why we have 2 ears and only one mouth. Listening is extremely important. And I mean, not just hearing, but understanding. And this, I think, probably my last points here include the women. We have been working with women in all our peace processes, establishing women's network, etc. Experience shows that the solution is much more sustainable if the women are also on board. So this is really an important message. We've been working with Bangladesh also regarding the women's peace and security efforts following the famous 1925 resolution. So cannot stress this element strongly enough. Okay, I don't think there's so much more here. Colombia, I'll show you some pictures. That's always cool. This is again that same negotiator who was in the previous photo in one of his early travels into the jungle of Colombia, studying the maps. This is 20 years ago. And here, as I promised, a little sketch how he saw the situation and what he proposed should be the next steps to address it. So it can be quite complex, but as you see, break it into smaller elements and try to organize them. Here's a typical negotiation meeting. There are all possible formats, from the top of the political leaders down to the working groups on specific items. But this is typical high-level meeting. See. Yeah, waiting to go into the jungle. For the brighter moments, the selfies, it's probably not the first stage. Sarah also. All of this from Colombia, because there is a book recently published about this process in Colombia, and it's quite an interesting one. You can see here, meaning out of the jungle. It's so far only in Norwegian, but I know that we have people here who have been in Bergen for 40 years and probably have no problem reading that. But it's an interesting book. So I finished with this one from Tromsø, where you have the Arctic University and the Northern Lights. It's an attractive place, as you can see. I hope we can have a little discussion about some of the things I mentioned. This is at least what I wanted to tell you.
So the floor is open for questions, comments, challenges. Especially.
I have Your Excellency, thank you very much for your wonderful lecture. It's really enlightened us. And we have a very good image of Norway. Peace, very peaceful image. And of course, whatever you have delivered, that clearly indicates why we have this image. So as a, peacemaker, as a peace broker, Norway has a proven record. So, the Rohingya crisis, you even, you are trying to making peace in Myanmar, you mentioned. So how about the Rohingya crisis? The role of, Norway, a peace-loving nation, especially resolving the Rohingya crisis, particularly, send them back to their homeland. Do you think that Norway can play an effective role, or have you ever tried to solve this problem? Because you mentioned that unless both parties actually willingly invite you to play that peacemaking role, you cannot. So, but do you have any mechanism like track 1 or track 2 level mechanism to create an environment so that eventually, both parties can have faith, trust in Norway? Number 2, you mentioned about Oslo peace record. Actually, I have done some studies on mediation, and of course, I saw the dominant role of Norway. But almost every year during Ramadan, we see the atrocities, the brutality of Israeli soldiers on Palestinian people. And then it comes to my mind, like, what's the meaning of this great initiative, great measure, the peace accord, Oslo, to state? What this, peace accord bring to those people who are still the victim? And last thing, you mentioned the criteria. As a small country, I think you fulfill, most of the criteria, but some of the intellectuals, as a peacemaker, the role of, carrot and stick. I find this is missing. In how do you manage it? This carrot and stick, criteria. I understand that you said you manage 4-star, but it's still the demand 5-star, those things. But this carrot and stick, at the end of the day, if both parties actually disagree to solve the problem, then actually what is your role? I think that's enough. For now, thank you so much.
Fine, or you at a time. Good, and how do you-
Okay.
Thank you, Excellency, for your very candid and very interesting talk. My name is 𝒎💃💂💔💂💅💐. I'm former research director of Bangladesh Institute of International Strategic Studies, where my another colleague I can see sitting here from same institute. Excellency, besides these deals, you are also funding the World Heritage Sites throughout the world. And very interestingly, you are only probably a unique country who is doing that, because 20 years back, I saw you have been funding for Cambodian temple, the greatest temple of Cambodia, which is about 10 square kilometer in size. So besides that, you have been doing it in Nepal and Sri Lanka as well. What is your motivation in doing that? This is my first question. My second question. There is being a founder member of NATO, probably you are absolutely within the war zone. What is your assessment about Russia using nuclear weapon? And if you don't think no, why? And is there any threat you are perceiving? And what is your countermeasure? I mean, not you, NATO countermeasure for that. And my small little last question is, currently Sudan is at war. Since your country goes into this kind of negotiation, this is the most critical situation in the world probably in last 1 or 2 decades, that within the country, 2 security forces are fighting. This is a very uncommon situation, and probably they are listening to no one because of their tribal diplomacy or whatever you can call it. Is there any possibility Norway is going to step in? Thank you.
That's quite a tall order. Okay. First of all, on
My apology, Your Excellency, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Joshi. I teach politics at the political science department.
okay. Myanmar, Rohingyas. Norway was working very actively in Myanmar, and in the lead up to actually the Aung San Suu Kyi government being able to take over. And the positive development we saw there for a few years was on the basis, not least, I think, of work we have been doing for decades in Myanmar. Then, of course, the situation there is the military coup, huge setback. So, question is how to and when to overcome that, because at the current time, I mean, the international efforts to solve the Rohingya issue are based on the possibility of safe return to Rakhine by the Rohingyas. And at the moment, it's very difficult to see that such conditions are anywhere in sight. And of course, Bangladesh is losing out here because of the huge number of refugees in Bangladesh. They came over, the situation was locked, and now everything is more or less stuck. I know there is some work going on technical between Myanmar and Bangladesh to repatriate, start a repatriation process. But they're very, very far away from a situation which there is a safe environment for them to return to. So it's quite a desperate situation, of course, desperate for Bangladesh, desperate for the Rohingyas, and of course for the people living in Myanmar. It's really bad. Whether and when it can sort of come out of this and head for some more positive development is not for me to say, of course, but I'm very sure that the people we have who have been working with Myanmar, they are still doing it. They're still keeping the channels open, as I said in the presentation. You have to keep the channels open. You have to keep communication. But where that is standing now, I have no idea. There is talk about third country repatriation. reduced. The sheer number of refugees makes everything quite hopeless. I mean, a few thousand here, a few thousand there, something like this. Australia. It's a drop in the ocean, isn't it? So
It's not even Poland.
it
It
probably will be, but I mean, still, it's. I mean, there's how many children are born each year in the refugee camps? Quite a few. So just to keep the numbers at the same level, you need to get quite a few out. So I'm sorry, I don't have the solution to present to you on that. You mentioned Palestine also. It's a situation we are, of course, very aware of that what we were hoping for with the Oslo Accord didn't materialize, and mainly because of the political development in Israel, of course, we're seeing a very kind of a polarized situation, and we are concerned, of course, about the political situation in Israel and the way it's playing out. Our hope must be that there can be some way of resurrecting some kind of dialogue there, but under the current political regime, seems not very likely in the short term. And as I said previously, you need both parties to want peace. If you don't have that, then there's no way to talk them into anything. Okay, and then there was the World Heritage Site issue. I didn't see that coming, but it's a welcome question. I think it's firmly a part of the Norwegian belief in the multilateral world order and the UN system. And, seeing that UNESCO's looking after cultural values and seeing how important that is for the identity and the history of the nations, I think that is why we have been supporting this World Heritage Site. Russia. Well, I just recall one thing I said, that it's never too early to prepare for talks, but it may be too early to talk. At the moment, it seems that none of the parties really want to have ceasefire or anything like that, because they think the other party will take advantage of it. Of course, we see that Russia has started to mention those weapons, the N weapons, and we are very concerned about that, of course. These are weapons that have a value in deterrence only and must never be used, in my opinion. So whether it will be further, I'd say, development in that direction, I really hope not, but at the moment I see it as a rhetorical thing. Just mentioning the word has an effect, and they're sort of placing those kind of weapons also in Belarus. It's not a positive thing, but Norway as a NATO founding member, as you pointed out, of course, this is a conflict where we are not impartial. We are standing very firmly on the side of Ukraine. As I saw the statement from your Prime Minister's visit to Japan, there is some very strong and very clear and crisp and nice language on the Ukraine situation there. Blatant breach of international law and fundamental, the UN Charter, etc. I like the look of that. So that was good. Sudan is just recently recently exploded into a very, very nasty situation. We have evacuated our diplomats. We are working on evacuating all Norwegians who are there. I see the same thing is for Bangladeshis. At the moment, I think there's no one can say where that is going, but as you point out, it is a very unusual situation with those two security forces fighting each other, the chief of the army and the security. Very, very difficult to see where it's going to lead. Norway has been working into that for some years, so we have probably good networks, good contact with the various parties, but I have no information about where it's standing.
Thank you very much. We have also some very respected guests online. I don't see any hands raised for the moment, but I certainly would like to welcome them for being here. If you do have a question, please raise your hand and we would like to hear it and have the ambassador respond. For now, I'd like to welcome our Vice Chancellor, the chair of the session, who has joined us for some comments. We have a few more minutes before his speech, so if anyone has some additional questions down at the end of the table, we can take another round if that's okay with you, sir.
Thank you, Ambassador, for your excellent deliberation, very enterprising talk. Not something that I was expecting from a diplomat, but I thoroughly enjoyed your lecture. So thank you so much for that. Now, one question that I'd like to put to you is about the peace dividend or the dividend that Norway gets from its engagement in the various conflicts that you have just mentioned. Already another participant had mentioned it in indirect way, but I was hoping that maybe you could shed some light on that. Thank you. Oh, sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Rizwan. I'm a faculty member here at the law department.
Hey, thank you, His Excellency, for giving us a visa-free tour to Norway. It was quite impressive to see all these very beautiful and peaceful pictures. So my question is quite short and simple. By the way, my name is 𝑣𝒎𝒃𝒂𝒔𝒔𝒂𝒅𝒐 I teach sociology in the Department of Political Science and Sociology here. So I was just wondering if you could tell us a little bit about whether Norway has an historical record to intervene in the conflict-affected zones in the world, and also to establish, develop, and promote peace. Thank you.
Good day, Mr. Ambassador. I'm 𝑣𝒎𝒃𝒂𝒔𝒔𝒂𝒅𝒐 Professor of Philosophy and Director of the Office of Research here at 𝑦𝒆𝒓 University. Your talk got me to think about an area of philosophy, of course, which I'm aware of, in terms of political philosophy. There's a philosopher by the name of Augustus of Hippo in the medieval period, who is thought to have said something to the effect that it is better to sway a man with a word than to slay a man with a sword. And I think that's a very important suggestion in terms of the purpose of diplomacy. Now, in your particular presentation, as well as in the UN Permanent Representative's words, which I read in the handout that we have, it's clear that Norway thinks in general that you have to be requested by both parties. But in light of the fact that there is concern about the use of nuclear weapons in the battlefields ongoing in Ukraine and so on and so forth, and prospect of escalation as a result of that, I submit that I think that principle of awaiting both parties to invite needs to be challenged. And it needs to be challenged because the issue of weapons, the use of nuclear weapons, is in fact a multilateral issue. We want to be concerned for a multilateral rules-based order. It's that fact that requires us to step in ahead of time to insist that these matters of discussion have to be engaged, whatever the two main parties have to take. What's your sense of that?
So let's have the ambassador take on these challenging questions, give him a chance, and then maybe have a few more minutes for one last round before we hear from our Vice Chancellor. Sir?
A little bit more time.
Yeah, you have time.
Okay, again, challenging. I mean, there's nothing scarier for diplomats than talking to university people. They know stuff. They really, really know deeply. They know everything. Not everyone knows everything, but you know, around the table like this, the amount of knowledge present here, it's mind-blowing. And diplomats are generalists. We know a little bit about many things, but not many things about anything. So, jack of all trades, but a master of none, the expression. So I always, there another one switched on. Okay. Anyway, let's have a go at it anyway. Switch it off. Yeah. People online can maybe not hear. I see. Okay. So let's try. Peace dividend for Norway. I mean, sometimes we bask in the glory of a successful deal, and we write books about it. But I think there is something more than that actually for us. It's it's the kind of world we want to have, the kind of world we want to see, where we can resolve conflicts without the use of arms, and without the use of force. So I believe it's very much in line with our principles, with our approach to life in general. And I know that, you know, this kind of work that we are doing in the peace process around the world enjoy very, very broad support in Norway. And our population actually expect us to do this kind of thing. So sometimes you see that there's a conflict going on and somebody will ask, where are our people in this? But then it's over to the other question again. I mean, a lot of conflicts, we are not able to do anything because of the absence of the willingness of both parties to engage. And I think to get to your question about Ukraine, it's a different kind of thing. As you pointed out, it's a multilateral issue. It's not at the moment a situation where there is enough, how to say, there is a foundation to go in and do this kind of work that we have been doing. Other actors, you know, you have the Security Council, you have and when the situation is that there's a war involving one country who's a permanent member of the Security Council, of course, that also causes some limitations. But I also see that sometimes it gets lifted to the General Assembly, and we've seen some interesting resolutions from the General Assembly. But I'm quite sure that we have people in our service who have very good contacts, very good networks with the various people in Ukraine. And of course, Norway is a neighboring country, not of Ukraine, but of Russia. We have a 290 kilometers border in the north. So we have a long experience in weathering all kind of temperatures in the bilateral relations. I remember when I was posted in Delhi, we had high-level political consultations, and I think our foreign secretary came down from Oslo. One of the things that the Indians wanted to talk to us about was how to manage Russia, how to handle Russia, because Norway has been handling Russia in thick and thin. Geography is destiny, of course, and we have to be able to live with Russia, although from time to time it's a very complex and dangerous neighbor to have. But we have managed to pull off, for example, a very good cooperation with Russia in managing pit stops in the Arctic, Arctic Sea, Barents Sea, and a few years back, after negotiating for almost 50 years, we managed to have a demarcation of the border in the sea north of our two countries. Took forever, but we managed to do it. So we need to work with Russia, and we need to be firm against Russia. So this is, of course, one of the dilemmas. Yeah. Norway intervention we don't intervene in, but of course Norway, like Bangladesh, is taking part in UN peacekeeping operations in many countries. There is the man who met us downstairs, who's been working. Yeah, he has been working with Norwegian peacekeepers in Congo. Look at they are very tall, and he looked at me skeptically because I'm not. So anyway, we're working side by side in many locations, and that is the kind of first thing that we is more relevant in the context with the Ukraine war. Political philosophy, you're just saying the same thing, that the word is better than the sword. That's what we are working. Yeah. Norway, as also Israel was mentioning, Norway's long work in development, international development. Is a sort of a fundamental part of our foreign policy and our global perspectives. We are one of the major per capita donors to the UN system. And, yeah, that is, we strongly believe in the world organized with much less strong multilateral institutions and goal-based.
Can we please give a round of applause for this wonderful work? Now we'd like to hear from our Vice Chancellor. Sir?
This is nothing new. I came mid-course in a meeting. We know what is transpired. We know much about the topic. I still have to say something. And the master of putting me in this situation is 𝑨𝒏𝒂𝒔𝒔𝒂𝒅𝒐𝒓. Basically, I'm an accountant, I'm an accountant. And when I'm asked to talk about international things and stuff like that, my debits and credits never balance. So I find myself in a difficult situation. Anyway, Your Excellency Espen Rikter-Svendsen, it is so nice to see you at the and particularly in our embassy at talk series. You are the second guest here, and I don't think any other country in the world is better qualified to talk about peace than Norway. You have not only faced you not only work for peace around the globe, but you also have a very peaceful country in your own. That is also important. You're one of the most progressive countries in the world in terms of gender relations, in terms of giving foreign aid, in terms of supporting the United Nations in various programs of activities. So there is a healthy respect for Norway right around the world, and we share the testimony. You cannot think of a conflict situation where Norway did not try or play a vital role. It seemed to be acceptable to both parties, more or less. I say more or less because in conflict areas such as Afghanistan or Palestine or Sri Lanka or Philippines, Sudan, Somalia, we have seen extremely neutral constructive, and a country of diplomats of a country who can find, who can think out of the box and can find solutions to problems, or at least can minimize the level of the conflict. In relation to this one, you're in a different border in terms of credibility, because you're part of NATO, because you're part of the Western alliance. I don't know whether you're supporting Ukraine with funds, but your friends are. So this is a rather difficult assessment. I agree with you 100% that this is not the time to start peace talks in Ukraine and Russia. It would be premature to do so. I spent most of my working life in Australia. There was a labor leader called Bob Hawke, who then became the prime minister. One of the very long-serving prime ministers in Australia. So, as a labor leader, it was his duty to resolve management labor issues all over the country. His trick was not to intervene or try to resolve a as soon as it starts, before it starts. He would let the two parties fight and be tired, both interests and losses. Employees, some salaries and other benefits. Employers, some loss of profits. And the time comes when both of them tired and ready to talk. And he would move in at that level, at that stage, and he would have a ready offer. And mostly it worked. So in relation to Russia and Ukraine, I would say that Ukraine has no direct support as powerful friends. And Russians have a particular psychology. Study the history of Russia, you know how they behave. At the previous meeting on workshop on this conflict, I made some comments, and one of them was that the West was very good at studying Hitler, the German mentality, Hitler's personal traits, and you know how he reacted to situations. In this case, the West did not study enough, or did not anticipate if you have guns aimed at Russia from a number of neighboring countries, how if they think, if they perceive their back is at war, how they would react. I think this should have been managed at that level, and I don't think there have been particular rich studies of Putin's psychology. So you find yourself in a conflict where Russia, once they've started it, they cannot go back. They see it, rightly or wrongly, as an existential problem for them. Okay, so on the other hand, what Russia has done is violated every norm of civilized behavior in international terms. So how do you resolve this? Only diplomats like you know. As an accountant, I basically consider that I have no clue. But one thing appears very clear to me is that this is not the stage where anyone can go and make an easy solution to the problem. But the conflict needs to be managed so that neither of the parties use anything nuclear or use more advanced armaments in this particular conflict. The fallout of that, casualties from that are not only the people that die on the battlefield, but also people of Bangladesh. So they talk about more food security, talk about energy, all of those two vital things have been particularly affected by this particular war. And whenever you are in a conflict situation, in a war, obviously, rationality doesn't work. It's just emotion. So on both sides, no matter how much they lose financially, and what happens to the rest of the world is of secondary concern. The primary concern is how to go to a position of strength before you start negotiation. So that's what's been going on. To some extent, it would have happened if America and Russia, this is my view, just discounted 100% of mine. If America and Russia did not abandon the interaction that we had, whether it's about salt treaties, whether it's about flying over each other's airspace, military planes, there is somehow America and Russia have foreign advantage. Over the last, I think since Bill Clinton's departure from the White House, there has been a perception of a unipolar world. But still, I'll say, there has been a perception of unipolar world where the Americans or the West under the leadership of the Americans can do anything. And that was the time when the bear was getting a bit enriched. I think if America was talking with Russia at this time, they could have avoided this kind of situation. You've got to recognize that you've got to do something to the Russians. You simply cannot surround them, with missiles sort of aimed at Russia from the neighboring countries, some of which used to be part of it. So I don't know what was the hurry to do that, because Russia has been exactly the story from and militarily they haven't gone too far since 1960s, in fact. So whatever is the case, now we find ourselves in this situation, the whole world. And we obviously look at Norway as a country which still has the credibility even to act in that kind of situation. So, Ambassador, thank you so much for coming here and addressing this group. I wish I was there from the beginning and things. Once again, our heartiest appreciation of your presence and your input. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I think we need a response from His Excellency on these points, maybe a couple of responses. I saw you taking some notes.
I take notes when people say something important. It's always a good idea. We both agree and disagree maybe on something. I agree with you that talking is, stopping talking is not good. To keep the conversation is kind of preventing conflict. Also, trading with each other is a good way of preventing aggression. So, but as a NATO country, NATO being an organization, a defensive organization, still has to, has to respond when somebody wants to join. We have to talk about it. We have to discuss and process it. And we have seen that the countries that were formerly part of the Soviet Union have some quickly, some later, wanted to join NATO. And I think the war in Ukraine shows you why they wanted that. And now we see that Finland is jumping down from its neutrality and also joining NATO. I think the reason why NATO has been moving eastward is mostly Russia. And I think also, for example, if you go to the Baltic states, and you will they will probably say the same thing. So that is, but apart from that, I agree with much of what you were saying. And also, of course, the fact that the war in Ukraine has disrupted so much of, how to say, the global balance and the trade, the global trade system. So we find ourselves in a situation where some commodities are becoming scarce, where prices of everything are increasing. And what we thought was a solid system doesn't seem to be all that solid. After all, it seems to be very vulnerable to disruptions. And that is harming everybody, every Bangladeshi and also people in my country and everywhere. But this system is now sort of falling apart. So strongly agree with you on that. On you being an accountant, I think it's not a disadvantage at all. I mean, we really need accountants to keep us all in good shape. And before your arrival, I was mentioning that I've been watching something on Netflix recently called The Diplomat, which I recommended. There's also a film called The Accountant. I don't know if you have seen it, but it's we'll show you some of the potential in accountants. So thank you very much for inviting me. Thanks for letting me come here. And it was a little bit less scary than I feared.
Thank you so much. Now we'll have some concluding remarks and a vote of thanks from the director of SIPG and CPS.
Thank you, Dr. Catherine. I'll not talk about that topic itself, because of discussion has been done and very fruitful. Catherine will prepare some policy briefs or kind of the working group basis of the discussion as we follow it through. I just want to formally give a thank to Norwegian government and Norwegian people on behalf of most of the university. And there is a reason, and I think our students also need to know that Norway is a very humble country and very low profile maintained country. And even though they do lots of things in terms of peace and development, not expose and demonstrate those things. The place that where we are sitting is built on support with Indian institutions and universities and government and all other speaking. The SIPG basically started with Norwegian funding in the South Asian Institute of Policy Programs. At that time, it was the name of public policy program. So the master's program that was funded by until now 176 South Asian civil servants graduated with that support. And eventually also INSTU also gave quite a big support in terms of scholarships and things. And a huge number of research and publications have been done. And we also have with us Professor Espen institute, and also the program was initially was in French from University of Aachen. We're so grateful to Aachen for giving all the support, and still we are continuing. For 15 years, this partnership is the longest partnership with any university in the world. And we are planning for more partnership for the next 5 years. So we applied for European Union to get University of Aachen and Croatian. We are also planning to apply for a new round of application and other things that are coming now in May. So thank you very much, especially to Norwegian people, to Norwegian government for building institutions here, giving support, developing and encouraging us for joint village development. Okay. And I just can also mention that if the conference extension is there, and it was $4.2 million. So it's not a joke that 15 years we can support was for most of this and other South Asian universities. 4.2 million. The social science faculty is it's not a natural science or life science company. So it's amazing. Thank you very much for all these things. And we hope that we continue. We are trying to plan for now more broader cooperation with other universities. Beyond Bergen, because Bergen is our natural partner for long, and it will be with us for long. But now we are also looking at Dhaka University and also somewhere Oslo University. So thank you very much, Ambassador, and thank you all the participants here, our faculty members. Yeah, token of appreciation.